Hey everyone, my name is Gamer Corey, and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be doing a very long flight, but that's not what we're really going to be going over in today's episode. We are going to be going over how to kind of basically do a cold and dark start of the Cessna Longitude. So I haven't really seen a lot of good videos out there about the cold and dark start, how to really set up the FMS inside of this, and also how to actually use the autopilot based on what is currently given to us inside of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, I am by no means a real pilot, and so some of this information could be inaccurate, and I do apologize for that. But this is what I've been able to fly this jet a few different times, and I'm getting the hang of it. And quite honestly, it's becoming one of my more favorite aircraft in the game, just because you can land at fairly small airports with it. So, and it's also got the auto throttle, so that's pretty nice and handy. But anyway, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be turning this thing on. Now, if you guys don't know, every aircraft actually has a checklist, so you guys can actually do a cold and dark start no matter what aircraft you're getting into, so you'll know exactly how to start it here. But I am going to show you guys how to do this. Now, I do have some buttons on my yoke that allows us to turn my APU on, because I'm using my Honeycomb Alpha Control yoke, and that actually has a couple buttons that I might need. So if I don't always look around, I'll try to tell you guys what I'm doing, so you guys know. But a lot of the switches are actually right in front of me, so it's pretty cool. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on the generators. Well, actually, we turn on the batteries first, so I can actually fill up a switch. That would be these two right here, and then you're going to turn on the generators. So you'd actually turn these three on. You're going to want to turn the APU generator on as well. So now I'm just going to turn that on. Ultimately, I can turn those on and off later if I want to, just by flipping a switch. Awesome. Now, from there, you need to turn on the APU. It's going to be down here, and you're just going to turn it to the on position, and then turn it to start. Just hold it there for just like a couple seconds, and it's going to turn on, and you're going to start to see that the APU right here is going to start warming up. If you go to the outside of the aircraft, you can also hear it as well. All right, well, I am flying. I'm currently in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and I am going to be flying all the way down to Key West. Not sure exactly how many nautical miles it is off the top of my head, but I'm
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra requesting pushback.
Yeah, there's always that interruption too, but I'm going to stop that pushback.
Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra pushback request accepted.
All right, let's stop that. We'll do that later, you guys.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra requesting the end of pushback.
All right. So
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra request to end pushback received.
gravy. It's yeah. So anyway, we're going all the way down to Key West today. Our alternate airport will actually be Miami, just in case there's any issues down there. I have enough fuel, obviously, on board. I've kind of prepped the plane prior to this by using the tools on setup screen, what airport you guys are choosing to start in at. So I'm using Flight Sim to get my route, but it actually doesn't tell me how many nautical miles it is, because obviously there's nobody that really has flown this that I have found. Guess it doesn't matter. It's a long flight. It's 4 hours. The actual slot time for this is 4 hours and 5 minutes. Block time is a little over 4.5 hours. So it is definitely a very long flight. All right. So now that we actually have the APU on, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start setting up the FMS here. So actually, the flight plan is actually really easy. You just add in your your current airport, so your origin. So I'm at Jackson Hole, so it's Kilo, Juliet, Alpha, Charlie, and then enter. Then our destination airport is going to be Kilo, and then it's going to be, what is it? The Echo Yankee Whiskey? Yeah, okay. I had to, I had to think about that for a second. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to add a waypoint. You want to make sure that you put in your origin and your destination, the departure and arrival. And then like I said, I'm using SimBrief for this. So our first waypoint is going to be Sweat. And then I'm going to go ahead and enter that. And then you need to go ahead and add route. Then we need to do direct to gold. Then the one thing that I don't know how to do is I don't know how to do like non-direct. I actually had like the one that I have flown before. It's been pretty much all direct. Yeah. See. So I'm just gonna skip that. Let's go ahead and go back on there. We're gonna add another waypoint. So the next one would be Cody. OCOODY or Charlie Oscar Delta Yankee. Then we're gonna add another one. 1 megahertz. Where's Del Zulu? Enter that one. Add a waypoint. The next one after that is going to be BFM, Bravo, Foxtrot, Mike. Then Cigar is the next one. So Charlie, India, Golf, Alpha, Romeo. And then YW. I hope that's actually not the... So Echo Yankee Whiskey. I don't know if... That one I might actually delete. What's really nice about this one, and like what I've noticed about some of the other aircraft, it's like the 787 and the A320, is you guys, it's hard to change some of these rivals and whatnot on the fly. Because like if you pass a waypoint, it wants you to go back to the original start of that waypoint and you can't delete them. This FMS allows you to do that on the fly. It's pretty nice. All right, so it gives us all of our nautical miles. Then I'm gonna go ahead and hit done because we don't need to add any more. And so that's our first one. Now what we're gonna do is go back, and then what we're gonna do, this would be our departure. I'm guessing we're doing runway 19. And it actually wants me to go off of this one, so I don't know which one I'm gonna do yet. But that's the one that's recommended inside of SimBrief. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start up our engines, and then we're gonna get the clearance. So let's go ahead and go back. And we are gonna start the engine. So these are really simple to start up. All you have to do is start with engine number 2. You're gonna open up this little cover, this guard, turn it to run, close it, close the guard, and then push the button right next to it. And the engine will start to and I'm flying with real weather, but not real time because it's a little bit later in the day for me, so I just kind of figured that this would be a nice pretend flight right away in the morning, but using real weather. And actually, we can actually turn on the weather right now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to change this to FMS because that will be our flight management system. That's what it will, our autopilot will actually work. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to start a timer. So I'll start that one when we actually start, right when we're about to take off. I'll do that. And then minimums, I'm going to say minimums is going to be 200. And I'm going to enter that right there. Minimums are going to be radial altimeter, enter, good there. So speed, rotate is at 120. So I'm actually going to leave that as a marking on here. I'm going to go back, and then the other one that I need to do is I want to add the angle of attack, which will actually add this on, and you can turn it off if you don't want it. And then wind, I like option number 3, but there's different options that you guys can choose from depending on which one that you guys like. And that's all you really need to do for that. All right, so engine number 1 has started. Now we're gonna do the same, or engine number 2 has started. So now we're gonna do the same thing with engine 1. Open up the guard, push the button, close the guard, start it, and then this one we can actually disengage the engine starter. The engine will actually continue to run just fine there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the navigation lights, and then we're getting ready to basically leave. So we're going to do strobe, and we're also going to do the beacon lights as well. I'm going to turn the panel on just a little bit.
Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra with Echo request taxi for takeoff departure to the east.
I don't think any of these other ones over here work.
Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra taxi to and hold short of runway 1 using taxiway Alpha. Contact tower on 118.07 when ready.
All right, so
Taxiing hold short runway 1 via taxiway Alpha Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
So we're taking off on runway 1. Which, does that make sense with the current? I figured that we would actually be doing 19 because that would be the landing runway right now based on the current winds, but I guess whatever. Sometimes the ATC in this game isn't the greatest. All right, so then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the procedures. We're gonna do departure, change. Okay. It's not going to let me select runway 1. I wonder if we can actually get runway 19. Because that should be the direction we should be taking off anyway. So we're going to completely ignore what they want us to do. We're going to leave the arrival and approach for later. But it's kind of weird that the computer doesn't actually have runway 1 in here. I guess I haven't seen that yet. So again, we're going to load that option. All right, we can go back to home. So what we're going to do is we're going to put down our flaps. Just 1, down 1. And I have a key on my throttle for it. Otherwise, it's right here. And we can actually disengage engine number 1 as well. And now what we need to do is turn off our APU. We don't need actually that anymore. And then we're actually going to turn off the APU generator, which I actually have to do this. So I'm just going to put the other generators on. Perfect. All right, let's get back into our position here. We're going to scroll back. We're going to show the yoke. We're going to do our test, our instruments or our gear to make sure that it's all working. Actually, you can't even see the pedals. You can kind of see them over on the other side, but the rudders, all right. I think we're good. So let's go ahead and request pushback. It's going to be a quick little pushback.
Ground Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra requesting pushback. Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra pushback request accepted.
All right, and then I set up a custom camera because I like this view for takeoff and landings, just because I can see everything.
Is cleared to Hobby Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 1 climb and maintain 10,000 feet. Departure frequency is 133.25 squawk 6676.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm going to release the parking brake. Parking brake is down here.
Executive 729er cleared to Hobby Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 1 climb and maintain 10,000
I don't think they actually gave me my clearance for... And we actually already started the engine, so that's my bad. You would actually start them up probably earlier.
Executive 729er requesting pushback.
Or later than what we did, but...
Executive 729er
I know that private
pushback
jets are a little bit
requested.
different when it comes to that stuff, so... And we'll just say at the end of it right here, it's probably all the further we really need to go. I can see a
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf
taxi
Sierra
line right there
requesting
anyway.
the end of pushback.
Because we don't feel like
Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf
running
Sierra
into any
requesting
buildings.
pushback received.
Alright, did it actually tell us what we're
Ground
supposed
Executive
to...
729er with Echo ready to taxi IFR. Executive 729er taxi to and hold short of runway 1 using taxiway Alpha.
No, it never did. Actually did it.
118.07 when ready.
That is really interesting.
Taxiing hold short runway 1 using taxiway Alpha Executive 729er.
Interesting. That is so weird. Well, we're just gonna get out of here. I mean, they're going to 10,000 feet right away, so I guess that's what we're gonna put into our our autopilot. So we're gonna turn this, and that's 10,000. We're not gonna click anything, and then we're just gonna leave our flight director on. Or this is our autopilot, flight level change. You're gonna be using the nav, the autopilot. You can also use the vertical if you want. I actually like to just control my speed manually. That's just me personally. But you can actually do it down here if you want to in the FMS. All right, so let's go ahead and start our taxi. I mean, I guess what I can do is...
Jackson Tower Executive 729er ready to go runway 1 IFR to Hobby.
You can turn around.
Executive 729er
Go
cleared
direct.
for takeoff runway 1.
We can do that. That's fine. I guess we're just gonna go straight out of runway 1. Whatevs, I guess. All right, let's get out of here.
For takeoff runway 1 Executive 729er.
And it takes a little bit of spool time for these engines to go. But they have a lot of power. Guy's like right in the way. What are you doing? Dude, you're asking to get ran over. And it's sucked right into that engine. I was thinking about going auto 1.9, but I guess I'll do what they tell me to do. Even though I want to be a rebel and not do it. Oh, we gotta turn our taxi lights on. Taxi lights are now on. And this is actually a pretty decent runway, but I think for takeoff purposes, we're gonna actually use laps 2. That plane is gone already. Apply a little bit of brakes and turn, and we're gonna pause right before we actually enter the runway. And right about there, looks good.
Jackson Tower Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra ready for departure to the east at runway 1.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra taxi into position and hold.
All right, so landing lights are now on and taxi lights are off.
133.25.
Position Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
One tree decimal 25 execute 729er.
It all lined up here.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra cleared for takeoff runway 1 east, departure approved.
Cleared for takeoff runway 1 Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
All right, we are ready to rock and roll, my friends. So I'm just going to scroll out just a little bit so that I can actually see everything that's actually in front of me, including the autopilot. Let's spool up our engines to about 50%, which is right about there on my throttle quadrant. Everything looks nice and stable. Let's punch it. Nice and lined up, really, really good here on this, on the runway. Our rotation speed again is, and I forgot to start the timer. At 120, we're gonna rotate. And lift off. There goes the gear, and flaps up for flap 1. Let's get our angle of attack here.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra, continue for east departure. I will contact you next when you leave my airspace. Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra, you are leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
Jackson Tower Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra, continue for east departure.
All right, I'm gonna level it off just a little bit. Bring the throttles back just a little bit. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna arm the autopilot, and we're gonna do flight level change to 10,000 feet. And then we also need to get our speed in there. Then what we can do is we can actually arm our auto throttle. And we're at 10,000 feet. So we can actually turn off our landing gear. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically make a turnaround here. We're gonna I don't know why it's actually not allowing me to do a full flight. It's only allowing me to do a full stop and full landing, so I guess whatever. Range. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do a direct, and we're gonna select our waypoint. Actually go in. Here. And direct. Then we're going to click on nav. And since we actually don't have ATC, we're going to basically climb. So we're going to change our altitude. We're going to go up to, our first step will be 25,000 feet. So then you can go ahead and change that. And then click on flight level change. The other thing that I'm actually going to do is I'm going to boost this thing up to 260. Because once we get higher in the air, it's just gonna skyrocket for the speed. And there we go. And we be flying. now we get to have our nice long flight all the way down to Key West. Now I think what I'm going to do here is the timer is running. There we go. And then what we're going to do, zoom out a little bit on we're just gonna go right over the top of Jackson Hole and look at those beautiful mountains. 'Cause yeah, we need to get out of here because of those mountains. Start banking a little bit. There we go. I was gonna say we should start banking a little bit to the left. According to this, the runway is almost pretty much, yeah, it's right there. You can see it now. It would have been much better if we could have blown out from runway 19, but oh well, it's fine. Then once we level off at 25,000 feet, all we have to do is change the altimeter. Or not the altimeter, but the altitude. And then click on flight level change. Or you could also click on vertical speed and then you can control the vertical speed that you're going up. But this little guy, it just wants to go. So I just recommend flight level change because it's insane of what this thing can actually do. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go back here real quick. I'm going to get rid of the couple waypoints that we don't need. Like, we don't need this one, so we can remove. We can remove. We can remove. Then I guess what we're going to do is we'll go direct to sweat. I thought I went direct to sweat anyway. That must be a really, 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 really long, oh wow, yeah, that thing's actually pretty far away from us. Alright, we're gonna start leveling off here. You'll start to hear the engines decel a little bit. There we go, because we're approaching 25,000 feet. I'm going to kind of let the aircraft level out a little bit. There we go, now we're going to start banking a little bit to the right. Goodbye, Jackson Hole. Alright, now that we're pretty stable at 25,000 feet, we're going to go all the way up to 39,000 feet because that is going to be our cruising altitude. So I just change it on there and then click on flight level change. And give it just a little bit of time and it will start to do its thing. Just got to give it just a moment for it to think about what it needs to do. The engines are spooling up, and it's the same thing when you're actually decreasing your altitude. When you decrease your altitude, it actually takes a lot longer for that flight level change to take effect. So, and then your first initial descent is very, very steep. So you might want to put it into vertical speed first to give it just a little bit of a dive, and then change it into flight level change.